Hi boys and girls, Ms.Wich here. Nice to see all of you. For those of you who have handed in projects to me, thank you so much. Everything has been looking really great, really wonderful, and I'm really proud of the work that you've been doing. For those of you who still haven't handed something in, it's okay. Don't worry. You still have time. I will accept any of the projects that you do. Just make sure you get it to me soon, though. I don't want you to fall too far behind. Also, I've been trying to contact you on Teams. I set up our team meetings and different conversations, and I need you to have some communication with me and let me know that you're there. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach me through the Teams app. Okay, so now moving on, what we're going to be doing is texture drawing. If you remember last year, we did texture drawing when we did our mini project of our hand, and we also did the texture within our cactus. So we're gonna go and I'm gonna do actually a review with you of the 12 textures, just in case you weren't with me last year or you've forgotten. It's no big deal. That's gonna be the first part of this. The next part of the project is going to actually be doing Where the Wild Things Are Monsters by Maurice Sendak, and I chose this because he uses a lot of texture in his drawings. So I'm going to show you how to draw the monster, and you're going to apply the textures in the drawings of those monsters and create a background, again, all about texture. So come on, let's go get started. Hi boys and girls, how are you? Okay, so we're going to get started on our texture drawing, and we are going to review. We've done this before, we've done this last year, but I want to review with you just so it refreshes your memory of our different kinds of textures. So what we're going to do in this lesson is just our first 4 textures of hatching, cross-hatching, wavy, and using some zigzag lines in order to make these textures. We're going to start off with hatching. And what we're going to do, hatching lines, remember, are lines that go in the same direction and they do not cross each other yet. So what I'm going to start off with is vertical lines, and I'm going to make those vertical lines come across like so. They can have different lengths, but I'm going to keep it the same. And you're just going to draw some vertical hatching lines. That's one way to create a type of texture. The second way is to go across horizontal. So I go kind of like dashes, and you can make them again longer or shorter. You can put some in between, but just make sure that you do not cross them. That will be saved for the next one. So you have some horizontal hatching lines. The third kind is diagonal, and I could go on a diagonal down to the left. And again, it's supposed to be a quick motion. When you're doing hatching lines, your hand should be moving quickly. Your wrist is going quicker. So I could go diagonal down to the left, or I could go diagonal down to the right. And that is our first kind of texture with hatching lines. 4 different ways: vertical, horizontal, and diagonal to the left and right, but hatching lines is your first texture. Now, what we're going to do next is cross-hatching. Well, cross-hatching is taking these hatching lines and mixing them up and crossing them. So I'm going to start off with my vertical first, and I don't want you to go vertical and then cross it with a horizontal, or vertical, cross it with a diagonal. I want you to do all of the first type of hatching lines. So that was the vertical. I want you to do a whole area, when you do this, of all the vertical lines first. Now when we cross it, we're going to cross it with the horizontal. So now I will do all of the entire horizontal lines, crossing over that vertical. And it kind of looks like patchwork, kind of looks like burlap or something that would be kind of scratchy. Okay, that's a really good texture. I like when I do that one. Next one, I'm going to take my horizontal line first. I'm going to start off with each of these first. So I'm going to start off with my horizontal. Quickly. And now I'm going to cross it with my diagonal that went down to the left. And again, so hatch, 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 I usually say in school, and then cross, 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 cross. Again, a quick motion. When it crosses over, it gives you a different kind of texture, different look. That's our second cross hatching. My third one, start off with the diagonal. Hatch, 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 hatch. Down to the left. And now I'm going to cross it with the diagonal that went down to the right. Cross, 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 cross. And these kind of look like little X's. I like how that one looks too. Very cool. The fourth kind is I'm going to take this diagonal that went down to the right. Hatch, 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 hatch. Do your series of hatching lines. And now I'm going to cross it. I'm going to go back up and cross it with the vertical. Now when you go to do this, make sure you don't go on an angle. Otherwise it's going to look the same as the third one that we did. Make sure your vertical line goes straight up and down. And it kind of looks like X's, but it's a little bit more on a drastic angle this way. And there you go. You have your 4 types of cross hatching, which again, you can use when you draw pictures to make things look more realistic, of something that has a rough texture, something that looks like, I always think of like a fence, the fencing of something, or in a piece of wood. These would be great textures to use. We actually do use cross hatching a lot. And when we go to do our project, which I'll explain to you in the next video or so, you're going to see that we will use cross hatching a lot. Okay, moving on. The third one, the third texture is going to be wavy lines. Now, we can have wavy lines that are spread out. So I go up with my curve, down with my curve, and I stretch it out. I can repeat that. When you repeat your line or go close together, that's what kind of gives you that movement, or it'll show that texture a little bit more. If I go and do my wavy line more drastically, I go up with my curve higher and then I come right back down, my waves are closer together. So this kind of gives you more of an excited kind of feeling. And the one that's stretched out kind of gives more of a calm kind of feeling. So you have texture lines, and again, you could repeat it. The more you repeat it, the more the texture looks a little bit more realistic in whatever it is that you're drawing. So those are 2 ways to use your wavy line for texture, stretching it out or having it close together. Now, I like to always say when to do a little bit of an example, you can use wavy lines in hair or fur, but I also like you to use, I say like a feather. So I can stretch out my wavy line here, and then again, I would repeat it and kind of go in similar direction some ways, and then I would kind of go up like that in a pattern. Pattern work is key in this. A little darker. You could always go back and add more. I think that kind of looks like a feather a little bit. Okay, so there you go. You have your wavy lines that show this kind of texture. Finally, our 4th texture that I want you to do and review is zigzag. Zigzag lines, again, in the same kind of way that we did the wavy. I can take my zigzag and have it go diagonal up, diagonal down, diagonal up, down, and I stretch out. I don't have as many points. So this gives things a certain kind of look. You want to repeat it. That gives you that. Or again, I can make my diagonal come up more drastically and I come right back down. So the points, there would be more points for my zigzag. Again, giving you another kind of excited feeling or texture. And I will repeat it, and you could go back and fill it in. Depending on what you're using, you can go in that area. But you have, again, 2 kinds of variations of this, of how you stretch out and use your line work. You could stretch it out, or you can have it closer together. If you were doing, again, maybe animal fur or something that, you know, would have an excitement kind of texture to it, you can use zigzag. I just wanted to show you now another example. So when I did my wavy line and I said about a feather, I looked around my house and I actually have a feather. So here's an example of what I'm talking about with your wavy kind of line. It's stretched out, so more like that first one, but it follows this pattern. It kind of goes on a diagonal, but it does have a wave to it. So there's an example of my feather if you weren't quite sure what I was talking about, using wavy lines for that. and has a nice soft texture there. So that's what I meant with my wavy line like that. And I'm also going to show you what I was talking about using the zigzag line. I kind of drew an animal here. Maybe it's like half of a cat. I don't have much room. But if you were to do the fur, and again, using a zigzag line, you can draw fur within an animal. Or if you wanted to show the excitement if the cat was scared, and you go in and add layering like that with zigzag lines, this is a type of texture again that you can do for a type of animal. Okay, this is it for now. I know that we've done this in the past, like I said, but I'm going to give you the opportunity now just to do this week's assignment of creating. I want you to send it to me in an email of your hatching lines, the same way I just did it here, cross hatching, wavy, and zigzag. And if you'd like to include a picture on the back of some kind of object or something around your house where you see these textures, the way I kind of showed you the feather, or like I said about the animal, if you can spot any of these textures in your house, you can draw that in addition on the back and show it to me. Next week, we're going to do our remaining textures. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing your work. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon, guys.